Okay, look, it's customary. I don't know if I actually slay that hard in hats, but if it's a Bonnie and Clyde review, I've got to do it to them. Hey, I'm not late. You're late. I'm not late. I'm reviewing this perfectly on time. Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie and Clyde has reopened in the West End at a new house, the Garrick Theatre. And with this, they've brought along a lot of changes to the show, they've retooled some things, and given it a fresh coat of paint with a brand new set. It's being described as Bonnie and Clyde 3.0. So what did I think of this next step for Bonnie and Clyde? Did I enjoy it just as much as I enjoyed it at the Arts? Spoiler alert, yes I did. But if you haven't seen my face before, hi, I'm Ellie. I talk about theatre. I do reviews, I do discussions, I do video essays, and if any of that sounds interesting to you, please consider hitting like and subscribing. It really helps me out and helps out the channel. I've also opened channel membership, so if you want to go above and beyond to support the channel and unlock some exclusive videos, you can join by hitting the join button down below. But I've already waited so long to review this show, let's just jump into it. I think I was most surprised with how many changes there were actually with this version of Bonnie and Clyde. When I was interviewing and discussing the show with the cast, when I was luckily invited to view the rehearsal room, if you want to watch that video, it's on the channel, you can watch that one too. They were saying how they've evolved the show, and I did believe them, but I didn't realise that they were actually taking it to this next level. I think that this really is the definitive version of this musical. I think they finally cracked the code. I enjoyed 99% of the changes. There's only one that I didn't really like. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the upgraded staging. With a much bigger space, they've really taken their time to give the show a much bigger set and a few more moving parts. I think the biggest change to this and the most impactful is the upgrading of a lot of the projections. In the art performance, they did have a lot of projection, they used it throughout the show, it was mostly on the curved back wall. However, now we have extra screens that come down, we have projection through gauzes, and I think it adds an extra added element to the show. It's a nice step up from what we got before. What's more, I think the new set on the whole is incredible. We get some really nice added set pieces like Bonnie's front porch, which they use in a lot of new scenes in the show. We get a more defined model of the car. We get a lovely new backdrop and set pieces for the hairdressers. And I think this really helps with the world building on the show, as well as just being visually really interesting to look at. And probably my most welcome change is a lot of the script changes to the show. We get a lot of new dialogue and even a lot of parts of the show that are cut out. Where this is most notable and honestly most appreciated is within the start of Act 2. In previous versions we had a lot of scenes at the start of Act 2, whereas this version of the show quickens the pace and essentially goes straight from Made in America to Too Late to Turn Back Now, while keeping the content that worked for the start of the show. It's slicker, we get to the point so much quicker. It's really appreciated. And if you aren't as engaged with the show as I am, you don't even notice it. Another cut thing that I'm kind of glad that they got rid of was the duet that was added in the last run for Ted and Bonnie. In my previous review, I did criticize this song because it's not really necessary. It told us a little bit more about Ted and Bonnie's relationship, but you already get that in the much superior song, You Can Do Better Than Him. And the dialogue that they have here is sufficient enough. It comes halfway through Act 1, and is a nice song, but being a slower, softer song, it kind of breaks up the pace when you want to keep on going with the action. I'm kind of glad for its removal, but it is a shame that this is a song that has now been cut twice. Seeing as it was an originally cut song for the original Broadway production, then reworked into the London version once again, and now finds itself on the cutting room floor again. The 1% change that I think doesn't really work is the removal of the child cast members. In this version, we get Picture Show essentially being the same. There's some reworked lines of dialogue between Bonnie and her mother, but the key difference is that now they are played by Frances Maylin McCann and Jordan Luke Gage respectively, with Bonnie's costume and hair being different to kind of symbolize her being younger, but not really much being done with Jordan Luke Gage. I think that the idea isn't awful. I don't hate it. I think it works for the most part. And I understand this may be a change that is necessary because they don't want to get a child cast for touring, you know, to keep that budget down. In similar ways to how we've seen shows like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory do similar things. But honestly, I would have rather seen a full rework of Picture Show so that we didn't have to flash back, rather than having older Bonnie and Clyde playing younger Bonnie and Clyde. Let's talk about the music. In this new space, it just works so well. The music is just as punchy as always. And this score has so many standout moments. Raise a Little Hell, Too Late to Turn Back Now, which is my favourite song in the entire show. The World Will Remember Us. Bonnie, like, all of this music is incredible. It's catchy, it's fun, it's bombastic. It matches the show extremely well. But I think the strongest element of this show is its cast. All of our returning cast members are just as strong as before. Frances Malin McCann as Bonnie is so utterly perfect. Her chemistry with Jordan Luke Gage as Clyde is wonderful to watch. And her vocals are amazing. Similarly, Jordan Luke Gage just gets better and better as Clyde. Raise a Little Hell just smacks you with goosebumps. And his performance is so charming yet sinister. Please September as Ted is lovable. He is less of a factor to the show as before, but September really takes the moments that he's given and sells them, especially his solo numbers where he really shines. George Maguire as Buck is wonderful, and I think his chemistry with new cast member Jodie Steele has even built up the show even more. He is a wonderful performer, so engaging and so great to watch on stage. But I think it's actually our new cast members who steal the show. You can tell how much this creative team has just let them go and really allowed them to find their own way within these roles. Dom Hartley-Harris as the preacher is vocally spectacular. God's Arms Are Always Open has never really been one of my favourite songs, but Dom's performance just sells it completely. Jodie Steele as Blanche. Her comedic timing is perfect to a T. She really highlights a lot of the conflicts between her and Bonnie, and she is helped with the new additions to the script. She is laugh-out-loud hilarious and also sells the tragic moments of her character with a lovely new addition of a reprise of Now That's What I Call a Dream. This cast is worth the ticket price alone. The Garrick Theatre version of Bonnie and Clyde is exactly the Bonnie and Clyde that I fell in love with, but with extra new additions and touch-ups that just make the show feel even more powerful. It is perfect for that younger theatre goer, with its punchy songs and rebellious nature. I would highly recommend that you catch Bonnie and Clyde before it closes this May. But what do you think? Have you seen Bonnie and Clyde either in concert at the Arts or in this new version at the Garrick? What do you think? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting like and subscribing. It really helps me out and helps out the channel. There's some links to some other videos on the screen right now, and a link to my Instagram if you want to drop me a follow over there. But that's it for me today, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!